This is Never Down, Never Out with T.R. Matson. This podcast is about discipline when motivation fades, resilience when things get hard, and showing up when quitting would be easier. No hype, no shortcuts, just the mindset required to build something real. One day at a time. Let's get into it. Episode 14. Wow. 14. That's insane. We're 2 weeks into it. Be honest. When you started listening to this, did you think I would consistently upload episodes every day for 14 days? It's a fair question. Only you can answer it. I know how I feel. I'm pretty proud of 14 days. 2 weeks. We're halfway through our first section, and I think it's going good so far. So I appreciate the feedback, appreciate everything. Again, we're still growing. I'm still learning things. But I feel like we're starting to gain some momentum together. There's been a few people that have listened to every podcast, and I really do feel like it's on the cusp of making a difference, and I'm excited about that. Once I get a little bit further into it, I think I might start introducing my son to some of these, trying to keep it as clean as possible for him. He's going to have a lot of questions, so I'm just trying to help him learn. He might also be a little sick of hearing me talk all day at home, so maybe he won't be as excited. But let's get into it. 14 days we've been here. We've talked about a ton of stuff. We've defined the difference between motivation and discipline. We've talked about how confidence is built. We've talked about the risks of staying the same and staying in your comfort zone. But today we're going to talk about a topic that at its core may upset some people. And there's a reason I put it on episode 14. It was not by chance. I wanted to, for myself, gain a little bit of traction before I opened this up to the potential negativity that may come. And I'm expecting some of it. I hope that it doesn't come in the comments. I hope it's all just private so it protects the people that listen from it. But when you put yourself out there, you put yourself out there. So today's episode, choosing effort over excuses. Oh man. Oh boy. Do we as a society, myself included, love to make excuses. I spent so much of my life, more so early on, but there's been moments throughout my adulthood where I've wasted so much time making excuses. So much energy just making excuses when I could have just shut up and done the work. So let's talk about some of the things that I hear. Well, I didn't have the childhood you had. My parents weren't around. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the talent. I don't have the intelligence. I don't have the resources. It's too hot. It's too cold. My legs hurt. It's too expensive. Okay. And I listen and I empathize. There's nobody out there other than maybe my sister, who had the childhood I had. And frankly, she didn't even have the same childhood because we were 5 years apart. It is too hot sometimes. It is too cold sometimes. It is expensive a lot of times. We don't have the resources. We don't have the intelligence when we start. And all of that is okay. When I decided I wanted to be a pilot, I had no pilots in my family prior to me. Nobody to go to and say, this is what I really want to do. I think I have a shot at doing it. Can you help guide me? I had none of that. My parents were very hardworking. They ran a mechanic shop. They provided for my sister and I don't regret one bit of my childhood. But neither went to college. Neither flew. So this endeavor that I was about to go on, there were way more excuses available than anything else. And I fell into that trap a little bit my first year of college. I was the first in my family to go. I was the first to graduate. I was the first to get a master's degree. I'm the first pilot. And the reason I say all that is not to pat myself on the back, because none of it really matters. Why I say that is because I didn't have this perfect childhood path to get to aviation. In fact, let me prove it. Not that I have to, but let's talk about it for a second. The high school that I went to, military-based high school, we had 2 Naval Academy slots every year that were given to seniors who graduated. Okay? No going through your senator or congressman or however all that works, none of the letters, nothing. You graduated at the top of your class. If you wanted to go to the Naval Academy, you were going to get an appointment to the Naval Academy. What a massive resource, right? And I screwed off in high school. My graduating senior year, I wanted one of those Naval Academy spots. My graduating senior year, they used 1 slot and denied me the second. They didn't even use it. They felt that it would be better off to not send me and waste the spot than send me and take the risk on me being the representative for their school to the Naval Academy. And here's what I have to tell you 20 some odd years later. They were 100% correct in that assessment. 100%. I did not deserve to go to the Naval Academy. I didn't put in the effort. I graduated 2 from the bottom of my high school class. I was full of excuses and empty on effort. And what did it get me? Wasted a massive opportunity to get a free education, to be higher on the selection list for a pilot slot, to have the networking that comes with going to the Naval Academy, all of it wasted. For what? Lack of effort. For not paying attention in school, for not caring. Complete waste. So instead, I went to a small school in Pennsylvania and I made more excuses. It didn't hit me. And when I was at that school in Pennsylvania, there was a party one night that I was at, and I saw the ramifications of that party affect people close to me, and it changed their lives. And luckily, it did not change mine, but it was a wake-up call. And the day after that party, I remember sitting on the steps in the quad at 5 in the morning alone at what I felt was rock bottom. Could not believe I was here. I had nobody around me. I couldn't call my parents at that moment. It was too early. It couldn't get any worse in my mind at that moment. And I realized in that moment I had nobody to blame but myself. And I stood up at some point finally, and I got over my pity party, and I went back to my dorm room, and I talked to my resident advisor, and I said, I want to transfer my room. I want my own room. And he said it would cost more, and I said I would figure it out, get a job, talk to my parents, whatever need be. And we moved rooms, and I remember going through the room, getting all my stuff in the room, and the room was a mess. An absolute mess with all of my garbage that I had brought from my previous room. And for whatever reason, I should have gone to class. I had work to do. I decided that was the moment I was going to clean my room. I was going to put in the effort to control something that I could control right now, which was living in a decent room. So I made the new bed. I threw out a bunch of crap. I had all this paperwork on my desk, and as I'm shuffling through all this paperwork, I come upon a flyer for a marine science program at Texas A&M University, summer program. And I thought to myself, as a marine science major, or at least on paper I was, because I certainly wasn't working, there still was no effort in my life. I wonder if there's a school there. Now think of how ridiculous that sounds now. I wonder if there's a school at Texas A&M University. Are you kidding me? I'd never heard of it. And I called the number, and I explained who I was, and I said I was interested in their summer program, and I also said, I'm interested in transferring. And they asked me how my grades were, and I told them. And they told me, son, I'll never forget it. If you want to come to Texas A&M next year, you're going to need a 4.0 your second semester this year, or else we won't take you. A 4.0. I was failing most of my classes in college. I had no drive, no desire, no direction. I didn't know what I was doing. But with cleaning that room came organization. Organization in my life. And it allowed me to see myself for who I was. And at 18, 19 years old, I was a kid just full of excuses and nothing else. And I remember looking myself in the mirror that day, and I hated the person looking back at me. I realized alone in that room, nobody was coming to save me. My parents had given me a foundation that anybody would dream to have. They've given me all the opportunities that they possibly could. And I squandered it all away because I was lazy. So I picked myself up and I went to class. And I started studying. And I started preparing. And I started organizing. And I took tons of notes. And I did not go out. I did not party. I did not talk to anybody for the rest of that year. Period. I had a goal. And for the first time in a long time, I had a clear-cut goal. And the only thing I could do in that moment, I could not predict whether I was going to pass or fail. I could not predict whether I was going to get accepted to Texas A&M to transfer. The only thing I could do, the only thing I could control was my effort level. So I stopped making excuses that day and I started putting in the time. I started working hard. I studied. I talked to my professors. I talked to mentors. I talked to tutors. I learned the subjects that frankly, I wasn't massively interested in anymore, but it didn't matter. I had to get a 4.0. And I worked and I worked and I worked constantly. And I got the 4.0. That was step one of a long line of goals. But I got the traction. So when I hear people say, like we talked about, must be nice, I don't have this or that, figure out a way. Figure out how to get what you need. But while you're figuring it out, make sure you actually need it. Make sure that the excuse you have manifested in your mind is valid. I want to achieve a goal, but I don't have enough time. Are you sure? Because you have the same time in a day as everybody else. How are you using your time? You don't need more time. You need to use it more efficiently. And maybe that means setting the alarm at 5 in the morning. Maybe it's 4, maybe 3. Maybe it means going to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I don't have the resources. Find them. Talk to people. Borrow them. Find mentors out there that are willing to help you. But while you're doing that, make sure that you need that resource in the first place. Well, I don't have a new computer. How could I write a book? Get a pen and paper. It will come eventually. Much like nobody else in this planet can control your mind, and we've talked about that before, there's really nobody else that can control your effort. So if you're going for something and you're not willing to put in the work, why would you think that you're deserving of the success? So the next time you see somebody that's doing what you want to do, don't look at them negatively and say, oh, well, they had this or they had that. You don't know. But look at yourself and go, how can I get there? Effort. Excuses are one of the strongest negative factors in our success. There's an old saying that I won't completely say because I want my kids and your kids to be able to listen to this. But there's the old saying is, excuses are like, everybody's got one. Excuses only sound good to the person making the excuse. Think about that. I'll say it again. Excuses only sound good to the person making the excuse. Have you ever been around somebody and they're full of excuses and you just kind of listen and you're like, okay, I don't have enough time. I want to do this. I want to lose weight, but I don't have enough time. Meanwhile, you're sitting next to them on the couch while they're playing video games. It's an excuse. So take a good hard look at yourself and your goals and the path that you're on today. And I want you to ask yourself this hard question. If you look at yourself like a bucket, is that bucket full of excuses or full of effort? And if it's full of excuses and empty on effort, it's time to get another bucket. Get rid of the excuses and you will see success. Put in the effort, put in the time, and you will see success. The effort becomes the fun part. We've talked about this. It's the journey, it's the discipline. Do it even if you don't want to do it. And if you do it enough and you put in enough effort, you're going to start enjoying it. And then it becomes more about that than it does the actual goal in the first place. Thank you again for listening. 14 episodes. Insane to me. I really hope that it is helping. Please keep reaching out. Please tell me what you think. I'm still working on things. This is still a work in progress. But I want it to help others. Thanks. We'll talk soon. If this episode helped you, don't just listen, apply it. Progress is built in what you do after the message ends. Remember, never down, never out. I'll see you tomorrow.